Hi folks, this video walks through some tips and tricks on building a website for your machine shop. Let's talk about the mechanics of how to make that happen, the things that you really need to make sure that you do well, and we'll look at two example websites, Liberty Machine and S&H Machine. Before you worry about building your website, think about what you want your machine shop website to do. We've got a list here of things. The number one thing is to make sure that when somebody looks for your business, when they search for your business on Google, make sure that they can find you. That shows that you're alive and open for business. You can do things like list your equipment and your capabilities, your contact information, and that may sound obvious, but there are a number of machine shops out there that just don't do this, and it makes it harder to find, and it's going to limit their opportunities to grow that sector of business because people can't find them. When it comes to actually starting your website, you need two things. You need a domain name. That's the www.nyccnc.com or the saundersmachineworks.com. That's kind of your online address. And you need a place to host your website. Three popular sites that I would recommend looking into are Wix, Squarespace, and Weebly. These are hosting sites, so they're going to actually host your web page for you, and they'll help you buy your domain name. They'll help you buy your nyccnc.com, etc. And the most important thing is they make it really easy to build a website. We used Weebly for years for a number of our websites. We've since kind of outgrown it, but it's still great for a basic job shop website. Wix is not one that we've used personally, but we've heard great things. And they have video templates, they have video examples on how you can do this yourself. Squarespace is what I would consider kind of a step above, a little bit more elegant, a little bit nicer of an integration. And speaking of money, the great thing is that all of these are going to give you a very professional looking website for relatively low cost. Domain names cost a certain amount per year, usually $10 to $15 per year. That's just for your, again, domain name address. And then you'll pay some amount to host the website. Some of these may have free packages, but most of them are going to be somewhere between, say, $5 and $20 per month. You probably won't have any upfront costs, although, especially with something like Squarespace, if you want to pay one time for an initial template that'll give you a more elegant or more capable type of website, you may spend anywhere from $100 to say $700 or $800 for that initial template. If you want help with that, consider our article here on Upwork. Fiverr and Upwork are both great tools. Upwork is the one here, though, where you're going to be able to hire a consultant. They could help edit your site that you've already built it. They could help you build it from scratch, or they could do something specific like helping with search engine optimization. And that's the next topic. What is search engine optimization? It's making sure that search engines like Google can find you. And what I mean by that is not just finding if they search for your name, for example, Liberty Machine, but if somebody's looking for a machine shop that is in your city or geographic region, or a machine shop that offers a certain service, making sure you're one of those first results. The Wixes and Weeblys of the world generally will do a good job helping make sure you have decent SEO, but I'll give an example. Liberty Machine has a great website. They've got really good pictures. They've got very clear titles and descriptions. I really like the site. But one of the things that Seth should work on is that right now, if you Google search for Liberty Machine, he's not the first result. The first result is a different company, happens to be a machine dealer or used machine dealer. And the problem is that they did a really good job with their, what they call search indexing and some other teaser text. So they've got their website name, the address, a description of their site, and then their site's what's called indexed. And again, Weebly and the other sites should help you automatically do that. Then there's this big map. So the problem is that Seth's website, Liberty Machine Inc., is all the way down here below. It's the number 2 result, but it was relatively hard to find. And the site's not indexed, so he's not getting proper text breakout and description breakout of the subsite. So that's something that you could work on improving, so you're going to take up more real estate and hopefully be a better search result. One of the ways to fix that as well is to make sure you have some text at the top of your home page, because that's what Google looks for. It needs to be able to read the text on your website. What I mean by that is if you click on About the Shop, this is all text. I know that because I could select and drag it. So Google can read this. Versus, say if we go to Inspect Our Work, really good web page. I love these pictures. They're high quality pictures. They're really high quality parts. Gives me a feel for what it would be like to work with Liberty Machine. One of the problems is that this picture isn't doing him any good because it's a photo or a picture. It's not text. I can't select this text, which means Google doesn't know that these pictures may be related to aerospace, semiconductor, defense, etc. So change that to text that happens to be, say, over a background graphic. Less is more these days. We've got a list of some suggestions and information that you can include on each page, but these are optional. Don't feel like you've got to do too many. And one of the great things is that, again, most of these new website building tools will let you do things like integrate an Instagram feed. And that's great because we all have been to those websites where you pull up the photo gallery or the inspect our work and the pictures are relatively stale because nobody wants to go and keep updating these. But we all love updating our Instagram. So perhaps consider tying in that Instagram feed automatically. And that's going to give you a continuous update and flow, which is going to make your website feel more fresh with really no extra effort on your part. And finally, you need to do two things. Luckily, they're not hard, and you really only have to do them about every 6 months, which is, number one, go through your website. Every 6 months, just sit down and browse through your website. Look to see if you see any typos or old information or old photos, or perhaps you've bought a new machine and you want to update that. Just make sure you visit it every once in a while. It can be really helpful as well to change the home photo or a background photo because it really makes the site feel fresh. And if you don't do this, you all of a sudden realize you can go by for years and never have changed anything. The second thing you need to do, and this is what most people forget, is you need to do a little Google search check on yourself. So Google search for your machine shop name. Make sure you like what you see. Make sure you're the top response and make sure you like how that looks. Again, what I want Seth to work on is I want him to get his site indexed and I want him to have some teaser text in there so that we see more than this. We see things like his location, his job shop, what he's about, maybe some contact information, as well as these breakout links. The second thing, and this ties back into what are you doing your website for? But if you're doing your website to try to grow your business or grow your job shop or make sure folks can find you, search for that kind of stuff. Search for, say, machine shop in Columbus, Ohio, or whatever your town is. Or if you specialize in a certain industry or aerospace or knife making, Google search for that. Make sure you come up. Act like your customer. Act like you're trying to find yourself. Get outside of your shoes that you live in every day as the business owner or shop owner and try to put yourself in the shoes of a customer. Compare those search results with a competitor. You know who your competitors are. Go look at their website. Go look at their search results. Go look at what comes up with them on Google and make sure you like what you're getting. And again, you really only need to do that every, say, 6 months. So please use this page as a resource. We'll update it as we see fit for new suggestions and so forth. We've got links to the example websites here. We'll go through SNH here in a second, as well as the some great tools here, including an article and a video on how to use Upwork. Phenomenal force multiplier as a machine shop, getting help on things like building websites and graphics and advertising, even editing your photos, as well as how we operate and run Saunders Machine Works, all the various sites and services that we use to make it happen. So we took a look at Liberty Machine. That's a great example of a one-man job shop doing really well, but it's a small job shop. Flip it to the other spectrum, and you've got SNH Machine. This is a multi-location facility with dozens of vertical machining centers doing, in fact, I think they share millions of dollars a year in revenue. So totally opposite spectrum. But really, if you take a look, you've got a lot of the same things that we talk about on what we should have, showing that your shop is well, listing your capabilities, an FAQ to help streamline responses, a specific list of information to submit an RFQ. Well, first of all, the request a quote is prominent on the homepage. I like that. When you click on it, they're forcing you to go through certain fields. That's making sure that when SNH gets a request for quote from a customer, they've got the required information that they need, describing the project material, even the ability to upload a file. That helps reduce the need to go back and forth with the customer just to get the basic information. They've got great photographs. They prominently list their capabilities. You get a sense of who they are. And last of all, what I like is that if you Google them, SH Machine, you get a great response. They're the number one response. I see buzzwords like aerospace defense right away. The text is done correctly for over 50 years, so they're conveying that they've been around, the industries that they serve, their site's indexed, so we've got these great breakout links, so I could go directly to something like a fact sheet. And so much search is being done on mobile now from your cell phone, from your iPhone. So this section over here on the right is kind of Google's integrated business search. And that's so important because if you pull this up on your mobile, it's going to do things like automatically tie in the phone number so you can just hit call or email, and you reduce the complexity of a customer or somebody who's trying to look up your address or how to reach out to you. You're making that all the much easier. Thanks for watching, folks.